and assaulted by Beaumont PD. Not only did Beaumont PD assault this young man, they allowed the father to assault the young man, also captured all on video. This video is so horrific, so appalling, so distasteful that I was outraged looking at it. No child who was afraid of his father, who does not want to spend time with his father, should be forced to by Beaumont PD in the manner in which they did. They allowed this young man to be tackled. They tackled him, put his face in rocks on the ground, handcuffed this young man who committed no crime, then said insulting words to him, then allowed the father to come over and grab the young man and drag him like a dog into his home in the presence of this mother. And you watch Beaumont PD drag him also. I'll be damned that we as parents and leaders can allow this police department to serve and protect the citizens of Beaumont like they so-called do. We are demanding the immediate termination of both of those officers. The video speaks for itself. Both of those cops should be fired. And the father himself should be corrected by CPS, if not charged in a court of law. No parent that I know of could be seen doing on video what that father did in the presence of police and not be arrested. The father was wrong. The police were dead wrong. That child needed some immediate mental and emotional and psychological care and treatment instead of them calling a therapist to the scene. They act like they were in a damn club somewhere or in a barrio and dragged that young boy in the presence of his mother, exacerbating a situation that the young boy was screaming for help. The young boy was screaming for somebody to stop the police from forcing him to spend time with his dad. And as a father, you and the mother may have your issues, but as a father, that's not the way I would want my child to spend time with me. As a father, I don't want to see my child handcuffed to come spend time with me. As a father, I'm not going to watch the cops drag my son to my front door because he doesn't want to see me. As a father, use a better technique, a better methodology, more creative ways, therapy and counseling with your son, but not participate in the abuse of your child. Mother, talk about what happened after that day.
I had to call Beaumont police because he had just been attacked by his father. And after they reviewed our divorce, they told him that he basically needed to do what his father had told him to do. And so they went back behind the building that his father lived in, and they went to grab him to tell him to go with his father. And he started backing up, saying that he was scared. So the senior officer told him, if you don't like the way that your daddy does it, you really ain't going to like the way I do it. And started pushing his arms up behind his back. Then they handcuffed him, kind of pulled him up onto the sidewalk, pushed him through the breezeway, and then tried to shove him back into the apartment. And he still was backing up, trying to tell them that he was scared. So one of the officers put his arm around his neck, slammed his head down into the rocks beside the sidewalk, then went down on top of him, pushed his head down into the rocks some more, while the other officer was pulling his arms back. Then they stood over him for a while, and one of them said, "Dad, you come get him." Allowed him to drag him into the house, throw him into a wall, punch him, kick him. They tried to close the door, but I did push it back open. And at that point, his father picked him up like from the front, like he would a baby, threw him into the wall again. He was trying to belly crawl out of the door. He started trying to close the door, hitting his neck and trying to push him back with his foot. Eventually, the two officers stepped inside of the apartment and closed the door. So I called a sergeant out. They basically told me that it was a civil matter, that there was nothing I could do about it. They refused to allow EMS to speak to him because his father wouldn't give them permission, and asked me to leave the property.
Okay, can y'all hear me on this one? Okay. I'm Dr. Candace Matthews. I am the National Minister of Politics for the New Black Panther Nation. This is not the first rodeo with Beaumont Police Department. I was down here once before dealing with Beaumont Police Department with the Christopher Shaw case, where you turn around and slam this young man to where now he's paralyzed. So not only do you beat up our black men, now you're beating up our black children. We have a problem with that. When Mom made that phone call in order based upon the alleged abuse that was happening between the son and the father, Beaumont Police Department was supposed to come and de-escalate the situation. They did no such thing. They actually used excessive use of force on a 12-year-old child. Turned around and handcuffed a 12-year-old child. So clearly, not only Beaumont PD is a, shall I say, a bystander by liability, you're also have liability. Because when you slammed that young man to the ground and pulled his arm like you could have broken this young man's arm, now you are considered to be liable. Now, Mom did do a CPS report from this incident, and I turned around and escalated the report to state office, to the state office officials in Austin, and shared the exact video. So Beaumont PD, let me make sure you understand something. We are not letting up on your activities because clearly this is what you do. This is a culture that you do here in Beaumont. So I'm letting you know you're going to lay off our black men. You're going to lay off our black children. You are not going to perpetuate child abuse because that's what you did. And then you were also involved in the child abuse. So just know those two police officers, you are also going to have a CPS case as well. So, like Brother Cornell stated, you need to be fired. And just so you all know, Mom has legal representation. And you will stay tuned for that piece. Are there any questions?
Where is your son now and how is he doing since this happened?
His father asked me to come get them yesterday, so I took all three of them to school this morning. He still was not allowed to speak to a doctor, even though I called the non-emergency number to have them come up to the school. The principal at Pathways wouldn't allow EMS to speak to him there either because they said his father wouldn't give them permission. But overall, I think they're handling it a lot better than would be expected.
What did you expect to happen when you called the police?
Well, I was showing them the injuries that MJ sustained from his father attacking him. He tried to pull him out of the car. He slammed him down into the parking lot. His entire shirt was ripped off from this. He was pulling his hair, his arms. Not once did they ask him how he was doing, why he was so upset, what was going on. But I expected them to talk to him. And even if they didn't let the children go back home with me, I believe they should have taken them to a safe place, called a grandparent, some type of respite area, something, until the legalities could be discerned. But there was no help. They treated MJ like a criminal.
So what exactly did you tell dispatchers?
That my ex-husband was trying to pull our son out of my vehicle to put him into his, that he had ripped his shirt, he was hitting him across his chest. There are cameras in that complex. I told them if they wanted to see those, that I'm sure they could go straight to the leasing office, that they would be available. And that he had slammed him down into the parking lot and he hit his head when he hit that concrete.
When you look at the video, it is so appalling. You just can't believe that these are actually two police officers. You watch the father rough this kid up in handcuffs, his own father. You watch the father speak to the kid in a manner to where it backs up what the mother said initially took place when the father was trying to force the young man out of the vehicle. Because